I'm joining a couple minutes late because I was in traffic, trying to get through traffic. It's good to see you. Again, I am Monica A. Coleman, and this is my Bipolar Faith Periscope. Hi, Rob, 2022. Thank you for joining us. Hi, I saw Ryan and Ms. ARW joining us. Hi, Ryan Rogers. Hi, Crystal Ashan, Valori Prime. Hey, tell me where you all are coming from. Hi, I'm doing okay. It's been a long day, but I'm still here. You're in Los Angeles too. Hi, Crystal. You're in Las Vegas today. Well, you were in Baltimore yesterday. You get around, Ms. ARW. Thank you for joining us. Views from Kev, Ruben Boykin Jr. Thank you for joining us. Oh, thank you for the heart. It makes me feel good. Thank you for joining Isnay. I'm going to guess is how your name is pronounced. Chippy Maine, thank you for joining us. CBJ Charles Brown, thank you for joining us. Mr. Yasalam. I feel the hearts. Thank you for joining us. Changa Chirere, I'm guessing on how to say some of your names. Thank you for joining us. So if you're joining us, tell me where you're scoping in from if you can in your comments. And feel free to invite your friends and followers. Ramiro Mendez by swiping left to right. I think it's or right to left. Right to left. Thank you for joining us. The Incredible Nook. London. Oh, you're in London too. We have another Londoner. Thank you for joining us. Or joining me. Thank you for joining, Kenneth. I appreciate it. Just give us a couple minutes to join. Jay Savage. This is Ryan. Good to see you. Thank you for the hearts from LA. Thank you for joining us, Jamal Love One. I know I always jump into it, but I actually am not pressed for time today. Thank you for joining us. UF there. Thank you for joining us, Jake Clifton. 29. Thank you for the hearts. I feel the love. It's like virtual love. Like I said, feel free to tell us where you're coming in from if you're just joining us, so you haven't had a chance to tell me. So, again, thank you for joining us, Abu Dun. Ryan's trying to say, what are you going to talk about today? I'll tell you in just a minute. If you're joining us, again, my name is Monica A. Coleman, and I am a professor of religion, and I'm based in Los Angeles, and I am the author of the forthcoming book, Bipolar Faith, A Black Woman's Journey with Depression and Faith. And I take a little time on Periscope during the week to share about my responses to the questions I get asked the most. And that question is, what are my spiritual practices? Or what are the things that I do to live and manage a depressive condition? Thank you for joining us, Babushka Face. And I saw some others joining us. And so today I want to talk about friendship because I had lunch with two of my colleagues, and I am blessed and in the lucky and rare position that some of my colleagues are my friends, and they're people I really enjoy and want to talk to and hang out with, and who I would trust with my child and vice versa. And that's rare. I know it is rare to have colleagues who are also your friends. And it's a real blessing of the job I have, and one of the many reasons I really like the work that I do. But I want to talk about friendship and how friendship actually, having friends, being a friend, is actually a spiritual practice. And so I remember I discovered this many years ago. I was a divinity school student at Vanderbilt, and I took a course on spiritual practices. It was called something about contemplation in a world of action. And I was like, what is that? Let's check that out. And I just was told the professor was going to retire. He's a great professor. You should take him. And every week we talked about different spiritual practices. And the spiritual practices, were various spiritual practices. They were things like, what would you call it? Like fasting, prayer, things I would have thought of as spiritual practices. And one of the ones that came up was the spiritual practice of friendship, or of having spiritual partners. And there are times when we see friendships, in biblical texts as well. Very well-known ones are David and Jonathan. They're ones you see in the book of Ruth. And we assume the disciples were friends. Jesus says in the book of John, I don't call you servants, I call you friends. And if you are an adult and you're on Periscope, you know that friendship actually is a real spiritual practice in a way. It's with our friends, the people we choose to be in relationship, that we learn how to fight and how to make up. We learn to forgive. We learn to be compassionate. We get to practice these things. We learn to express our needs as well as to help meet other people's needs. We learn how to have fun together and sometimes how to weep and mourn together. How to be present for each other, and then sometimes when to give each other space. And so friendship is something I engage every day. It's actually one of the biggest spiritual practices I have, and what gets me through probably some of the most difficult times, and even just my ordinary days, is checking in with my friends and saying, hey, how are you doing today? I haven't heard from you, with my closest friends, and making sure they hear from me and how I'm really doing, not just the public face, not just the professional face that you have to show the world, but like, how am I really feeling? And sometimes it's the same, but sometimes it's like, well, I went to work, I did my job, but it's a tough day. Or sometimes it's like, hey, it's going pretty good today, or it's better than yesterday. Or I'll let you know when I come out of the chaos, right? But somebody who really, really knows how you're doing. And that's great for mental health, of course, because to check in with somebody who's able to hear where you are, whatever it is you have to say. Because sometimes you might be saying, I'm feeling hopeless today. I feel despair today. You know, and they could say, well, how can I help you? What do you need? If there's something I can do to be supportive. And to be able to reciprocate that. I know when, for me especially, when I'm in a depressive phase or depressive state, I feel useless. Like, I'm not, there's, like, why am I here? What am I here for? Nobody loves me. I don't love anyone. You just kind of feel that, you know, blah is such an understatement, that kind of despair, right? A deep melancholy. And sometimes friendships can remind you that there are people who value you and people who love you. And they're a way for you to give even when you don't think you have any more to give. Even if that's just presence, sometimes it's laughter. But I'd like to think that friendship is a spiritual practice, right? That some of our friendships are anointed by God. I definitely have friendships I feel that way about. My close sister in the ministry, I'll shout out to her, Cynthia Johnson Oliver. We came into ministry together, and we felt like, wow, God really anointed this relationship. So we would have each other. We would be together. We would be friends together. I can think of other friends I know who feel that way about some of their best friends, the people you walk with. And sometimes they're different people at different phases of your life. Sometimes they're your family. Like some of my cousins I would choose to be friends with, right? But that it's really a spiritual practice. This is where, in the best case scenarios, we get to experience God. And even when it's not going great, this is space in which we can, you know, aim to be all that God calls us to be and be closer to that. So I wanted just to share about that, about the value of friendships. I was just, you know, really talking to some friends and feeling like, hey, these are my people, right? This is my village, and this is a big part of how I live every day, of what helps me live with a depressive condition when it's difficult. And it's I think it's very much a spiritual practice. One of the ways in which I meet God and get closer to God and get to try and be, in the best case scenario, who and what God calls me to be. And I think of that as a spiritual practice. And it sustains me. It keeps me going, keeps me alive. So that's what I wanted to share. I hope that each of you feel like you've got a friend somewhere. Or that you can cultivate one. Or you can say, hey, maybe talk to one of your friends and say, you know, I really get to experience God in our friendship. I think that'd be a great thing for somebody to hear today. In fact, that's what I'm going to do when I get off. I'm going to text my friends and say, I experience God in our friendship. And that's a real blessing. So that's what I'm sharing for today. I will be back again tomorrow at 4:30 Pacific time. So thank you for tuning in. You can catch the replay if you didn't catch all of it. I'm going to throw it up on Twitter as well, so you can catch me there. So if you enjoy it, please feel free to share and to buy the book, Bipolar Faith. You can pre-order on Amazon or to follow me on Twitter. And I'm also on Facebook at Rev Dr. Monica. So again, it's great to see you all, and I will check in again tomorrow.